Fish have hollow bones that make them light. Is this statement true or false? Well picked. False is the correct answer. What type of body movement occurs when you move your arm away from your body? You chose abduction. And it is correct. The chest bone and the backbone together to form a box. This is called a dash. Smart pick. Rib cage is the correct choice. The shell in snail has an opening on the lower side covered with a lid called. Perfect. Operculum is the correct choice. The arm is formed by a single bone, the dasher, which is a typical long bone. You got it. Your choice humerus is right. The group of specialized cells that performs a special function is called a strong choice. Tissue is the right answer. The act of changing place or position by the entire body is termed as dash. Well reasoned. Locomotion is the correct choice. It is a strong elastic substance found between the two bones of human body. Exactly. Cartilage makes sense and it is right choice. Which joint is formed when bones have a flat surface which meet each other? Correct response. Gliding joint is the most accurate answer. Which type of joint allows for rotational movement around a single axis? Good job. Your answer pivotal joint works well here. The pivot joints occur in our skeleton eta. Forearm neeks, neck D hip. Clear logic. Your choice A and C is sound and 100% true. Which of the following animals uses a hydrostatic skeleton for movement? Valid point. Jellyfish is true. 9. A muscular organ which helps the snail in locomotion is known as dash. Sharp thinking. Foot is the right choice. What type of body movement occurs when you bend your arm at the elbow? Excellent. Flexion is a brilliant choice. Flexible tissue that covers the ends of your bones at joints is called. Nicely done. B. Cartilage is a solid answer. Which stretching exercise involves bending forward to touch your toes? Great job. Forward bend is the accurate answer. What type of joint is primarily responsible for flexion and extension? Excellent choice. Hinge joint is the right answer. Which one of the following has a different type of joint than others? B. Right again. Shoulder is a valid answer. What type of joint allows for the widest range of motion in the body? Nice work. You chose ball and socket joint, and it is correct. 1 dash helps to grip the surface on which it is moving. Nice selection. Setae is the correct and valid answer. Earthworm have a good grip on the ground due to the presence of dash. Correct. Tiny bristles is the right answer. The joint which allows forward and backward movement of head is dash. Bravo. Pivot joint is the answer. 2 bones, the dash, lat, and the ulna, form the skeleton of the forearm. Well done. Radius is the right choice. The framework of bones to give a shape to human body is called ash. On track. Skeleton is the correct answer. The hip bone encloses the portion of our body just below the heart. Great thinking. F is the right choice. Choose the odd one out based on the type of joint present in them. You're right. Shoulder is the correct answer. Which of the following is an example of a hinged joint in the body? Good thinking. Elbow or knee is the right answer. Which muscle is responsible for straightening the leg at the knee? Right choice. Quadriceps is the best answer. Which of these organisms are referred as farmers' best friends? Solid response. Earthworm is a valid choice. Which of the following is not an arm bone in the human skeleton? Smart move. Thigh is an accurate answer. Three's change in position of only a part of the body is known as dash. Well done. Movement is the right choice. Movement of whole body part from one place to another is called smart move. Locomotion is an accurate answer. The bony or cartilaginous framework of the head of vertebrates. Valid point. Skull is true. Which of the following organs are protected by the rib cage? Nice selection. All of these is the correct and valid answer. To have the act of moving from one place to another is known as dash. You're right. Locomotion is the correct answer. The movement and locomotion of all animals is exactly the same. Good thinking. False is the right answer. Your dash system helps move your arms and legs so you can run. Perfect. Muscular is the correct choice. How many bones form the skeletal framework of each upper limb? Great thinking. 30 is the right choice. Which of the following parts of our body help us in movement? Excellent choice. Both muscles and bones is the right answer. Which muscle is responsible for bending the arm at the elbow? Strong choice. Biceps brachii is the right answer. Our backbone is made up of many small bones called vertebrae. Excellent. True is a brilliant choice. Which type of muscle is striated and under voluntary control? Sharp thinking. Skeletal muscle is the right choice. There are dash number of bones in the human skeleton at birth. Nicely done. 305 is a solid answer. In childhood, our body has, and in adulthood, our body has bones. Nice work. You chose 305 and 226 bones, and it is correct. How many small bones vertebrae are there in vertebral column? You got it? Your choice 33 is right. In a cockroach, 2 pairs of wings attached to breast by dash. Solid response. Flight muscles is a valid choice. The strong muscle of snail which helps in movement is called. Clear logic. Your choice foot is sound and 100% true. Which of the following are the characteristics of the birds? Good job. Your answer, all the above, works well here. Approximately how many bones are present in a newborn child? Right choice. More than 300 is the best answer. The contraction of the dash pulls the bones during movement. Well picked. Muscles is the correct answer. What is the primary function of ligaments in the human body? Correct response. Connect bones to bones is the most accurate answer. Cockroach body is covered with a hard outer skeleton called...
Bravo, exoskeleton is the answer.
A cockroach has dash pairs of legs and dash pairs of wings. Great job. 3-2 is the accurate answer. Which life process is the skeleton the most important for? Right again. Movement is a valid answer. The part of the skeleton that protects the spinal cord is... Smart pick. Backbone is the correct choice. The muscular organ providing wave-like movement in a snail. You chose foot, and it is correct. Which part of the snail body is similar to the human body? Exactly. Eyes make sense, and it is right choice. Where is ball and socket joint present in the human body? Well reasoned. Shoulder and thigh is the correct choice. In dash of socket of ball and socket joint ball is fitted. Correct. Cavity is the right answer. Tend at the foot of a snail has dash a substance called mucus. On track. Slimy is the correct answer. 11th, the snail moves on the layer of mucus to avoid dash. Great thinking. Friction is the right choice. Only upper part of ear has cartilage, not the ear lobate. Well picked. True is the correct answer. The joint present between the bones of skull is a dash. Nice work. You chose fixed joint and it is correct. Which of the following animals have an outer skeleton? Nice selection. Cockroach is the correct and valid answer.
The joint which can move only in one direction is dash. Great job. Hinge is the accurate answer.
Which of the following is not the part of upper limbs? Smart pick. Tibia is the correct choice. What type of movement is done by a bug for locomoting? Perfect. Crawling is the correct choice.
We are able to bend or rotate our body only at bones.
Good job. Your answer false works well here. Are the hind limbs of birds modified to make them fly? Bravo. No is the answer. The bones cannot move at some joints. These are called. Smart move. Fixed joint is an accurate answer. How does a cockroach moves from one place to another? Excellent choice. Crawling and flying is the right answer. Muscles are attached to bones by a tissue called dash. You chose tendon, and it is correct. The appendicular skeleton is composed of dash bones. 126 is a solid answer. Total no. Of bony plates present in human skull are. Sharp thinking. 22 is the right choice. What is the function of cartilage in the human body? Right again. Provide cushioning between bones is a valid answer. Which of the following does not have an endoskeleton? Correct response. Fish is the most accurate answer. Which of the following organisms do not have bones? You're right. Earthworms is the correct answer. In total, how many types of joints have you studied? Valid point. 4 is true. Snakes slither on the ground with the help of their
Right choice. Whole body is the best answer.
Which type of joint allows for rotational movement? Excellent. Pivot joint is a brilliant choice.
How many types of joints are there in our skeleton? You got it? Your choice 4 is right. Because of which bone we are able to stand straight? Strong choice. Backbone is the right answer.
The joint that is movable in most of the direction. Well done. Ball and socket is the right choice.
What type of movement is possible at a hinge joint? Good thinking. Angular is the right answer.
What all parts are there in axial skeleton system? Solid response. Central body parts is a valid choice. Which of these organisms does not have a skeleton? Exactly. Earthworm makes sense and it is right choice. The bones at the elbow are joined by a dash joint. On track. Hinge is the correct answer. Aetsa snail has a coiled shell which forms its dash. Correct. Outer skeleton is the right answer. Upstroke happens when the wings of the snail go up.
Well reasoned. F is the correct choice.
Which of the following is an adaptation of birds? Clear logic. Your choice hollow and light bones is sound and 100% true.
What is the scientific name for the funny bone?
Correct response. Humerus is the most accurate answer. An earthworm is able to move with the help of its right choice. Muscles is the best answer. Joints of the bones help in the dash, goo of the body.
Smart pick. Movement is the correct choice.
One of the following does not have a hinge joint.
Well done. Shoulder is the right choice.
What is the primary role of tendons in the body? Great thinking. Connect muscles to bones is the right choice. A snail uses a dash and mucus to move on land. Bravo! Foot is the answer. The shoulder joint is example of dash movement.
You got it. Your choice ball and socket joint is right.
The dash pairs of ribs make a cone-shaped cage. Excellent choice. 12 is the right answer. Human can walk, jump, sit, act with the help of nice selection. Skeleton is the correct and valid answer.
Every dash has a long, slender body without any legs.
Nice work. You chose snake and it is correct.
The human skeleton is divided into dash parts. Valid point. 4 is true.
For the body of an earthworm is made up of dash. Correct. Several ring-like segments is the right answer.
An animal without bones are called vertebrates. Perfect. False is the correct choice.
How many bones are there in vertebrate column? Ing. Good job. Your answer 33 works well here. Which of the following is not a movable joint?
Smart move. Gliding joints is an accurate answer.
Name the 2 places where cartilage is present.
Sharp thinking. Ear and nose is the right choice. How can we know the shape of our body skeleton?
Well picked. By checking X-ray images is the correct answer.
How many muscles work together to move a bone?
Well reasoned. 2 is the correct choice. There are dash ribs on each side of the chest. Clear logic. Your choice 12 is sound and 100% true.
How many systems are needed to enable movement?
Excellent. 2 is a brilliant choice.
Which part of the skeleton protects the lungs?
On track. Ribs is the correct answer.
The joint where the skull meets the neck is a...
Right again. Pivot joint is a valid answer. This type of muscle is attached to your bones. You chose skeletal muscle, and it is correct.
The organ that protects the main nerve rod is...
Good thinking. Backbone is the right answer. Which type of joint makes the least movements? Exactly. Fixed joint makes sense and it is right choice.
The point at which two bones meet is called... Great job. Joint is the accurate answer.
What is the role of synovial fluid in joints?
Nicely done. To lubricate the joint is a solid answer.
We can bend or move our body where bones meet. Strong choice. True is the right answer. What is the largest organ in the human body? Solid response. Skin is a valid choice. How many pairs of ribs do a human body have? You're right. 12 is the correct answer. The part of body which protects the brain is... Right choice. Skull is the best answer. 2 organs protected inside the rib cage are... Smart move. Heart and lungs is an accurate answer. Which among the organism has an exoskeleton? Solid response. Cockroach is a valid choice.
The clavicle attaches to the dash laterally.
Sharp thinking. Scapula is the right choice. Which bone is the longest and strongest bone?
Nicely done. Femur is a solid answer.
How many muscles are needed to move a bone? Good thinking. 2 is the right answer. Which part of the bird is used for walking? Great job. Hind limb is the accurate answer. How many bones are there in human skeleton? On track. 2 in 6 is the correct answer.
The example of bull socket joint is dash.
You got it. Your choice shoulder is right. How does a ball and socket joint look like? Perfect. Like a shoulder joint is the correct choice. How many bones are there in a newborn baby? Correct. 300 is the right answer. The number of cervical vertebrae in man is? Well picked. 7 is the correct answer. What is the lower muscle in the hand called? Well done. Tricep is the right choice. A 7, an earthworm cannot grip a dash's surface.
Nice work. You chose smooth and even, and it is correct.
Skull is made of dash, boners joint together. Great thinking. Many is the right choice.
Which part of birds are modified as wings? Excellent. Forelimbs is a brilliant choice.
Hinge joints are present in which of these?
You chose all of these, and it is correct.
Earthworms and birds have same locomotions.
Correct response. False is the most accurate answer.
How many bones will a human have at birth?
Bravo, 3 and 5 is the answer.
Muscle that can be consciously controlled.
Clear logic. Your choice B voluntary is sound and 100% true.
Which of the following protects our lungs?
Right again. Rib cage is a valid answer.
The pivot joint occur in our skeleton at?
Well reasoned. Neck is the correct choice.
Who is the writer of book Gait of Animals?
Excellent choice. Aristotle is the right answer.
What is the another name for fixed joints?
Exactly. Immovable joints make sense, and it is right choice.
Where is cartilage present in human body?
Strong choice. Ears is the right answer.
However, in order to move the bone we need.
Valid point. Muscular is true.
Which is the longest bone in human body?
Smart pick. Femur is the correct choice.
How many bones does a middle finger have?
Good job. Your answer 3 works well here.
Tendons connect skeletal muscles to dash.
Nice selection. Bones is the correct and valid answer.
Which type of skeleton is present in ear?
You're right. Cartilage is the correct answer.
How many degree can pivotal joint rota?
Bravo, 180 is the answer.
Does ear have cartilage in lower layer?
Well done. No is the right choice.
What is the upper part of the ear called?
Well picked. Pinna is the correct answer.
The backbone consists of dash vertebrae.
Excellent choice. 33 is the right answer.
All of our muscles are joined to bones.
Perfect. False is the correct choice.
Which of the following has endoskeleton?
You got it. Your choice humans is right.
This system makes framework of our body.
Nicely done. Skeletal system is a solid answer.
The human skull consists of dash bones.
Well reasoned. 22 is the correct choice.
The skeleton of the cockroach is called?
Exactly. Exoskeleton makes sense and it is right choice.
Dash helps the locomotion of earthworm?
Excellent. Setae is a brilliant choice.
What is the biggest bone in your body?
You're right. Femur is the correct answer.
Ear is made up of?
You chose cartilage. And it is correct.
How many bones does an adult body have?
Smart move. 2 and 6 is an accurate answer.
Do all parts of hand help in movement?
Solid response. No is a valid choice.
Body part used for locomotion by bird.
Clear logic. Your choice wings is sound and 100% true.
Muscular foot is a locomotory organ in?
Right choice. Snails is the best answer.
Who has more bones? An adult or a baby? Good job. Your answer, baby, works well here.
What part of your body helps movement?
On track. Muscles is the correct answer. Name the longest and the heaviest bone. Strong choice. Femur is the right answer.
Our body is made up of a frame called.
Valid point. Skeleton is true.
The breaking of a bone is called dash.
Right again. Fracture is a valid answer.
The only movable bone in the skull is.
Great job. Mandible is the accurate answer. How many bones are in the human body? Good thinking. 2-6 is the right answer. Which of the following is a forelimb? Sharp thinking. 8 wrist bones is the right choice. The framework of bones is called dash. Great thinking. Skeleton is the right choice.
Shell of a snail is made up of bones.
Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer.
Ribcage protects which internal organ?
Correct. Heart. Lungs is the right answer. Which of the skull bones are movable?
Nice work. You chose lower jaw, and it is correct.
How many pair of legs cockroach have?
Correct response. 3 pairs is the most accurate answer. The joint near the backbone is called.
Smart pick. Facet joint is the correct choice.
Where is the carpal joint is present?
Correct response. Fingers is the most accurate answer.
Name the muscles used to move the arm.
Nicely done. Biceps. Triceps is a solid answer.
How many bones are there in forelimbs?
Nice work. You chose 30 and it is correct.
The finger bones do not have joints.
You chose false and it is correct.
Cockroaches have dash pairs of legs.
Well picked. 3 is the correct answer.
What are the examples of hinge joint? Valid point. Elbow and knee joint is true. Can the upper jaw of the skull move?
Strong choice. No is the right answer.
Does a bird have bone in their wing?
On track. Yes is the correct answer.
The body of dash is made with liquid. Good thinking. Earthworm is the right answer. The gait of animals is written by.
Right again. Aristotle is a valid answer.
The joint which is near our elbow is.
Correct. Ball and socket joint is the right answer.
The cartilages are harder than bones.
Excellent. False is a brilliant choice.
Skeleton of human body is made up of. Exactly. Both make sense and it is right choice. The hollow bones of birds are called.
Solid response. Pneumatic bones is a valid choice.
How many bones do adult humans have?
Smart pick. 2-6 is the correct choice. Skeletal muscles always work in dash.
Clear logic. Your choice pairs is sound and 100% true.
Which joints do not allow movement?
Good job. Your answer, immovable joints, works well here.
What is the study of joints called?
You're right. Orthology is the correct answer.
Who has more bones, a child or adult?
Well done. Child is the right choice.
The body shape of a fish is called.
You got it? Your choice streamlined is right.
Hinge joint can allow movement up to.
Smart move. 180-degree is an accurate answer.
Cockroaches have an outer skeleton. Great job. True is the accurate answer. Cartilage is found in the ear lobe. Excellent choice. False is the right answer. Characteristics of bones of a bird. Bravo. Hollow and light is the answer. Ribs have dash bones on each side. Great thinking. None of these is the right choice. The two bones of the lower arm are. Well reasoned. Ulna and radius is the correct choice. Scientific name of knee plate is. Perfect. Patella is the correct choice. The skull covers and protects the. Sharp thinking. Brain is the right choice. How many bones make up the skull? Right choice. 22 is the best answer. Biceps contract when triceps dash. Nice selection. Relax is the correct and valid answer. Movements that you cannot control. Great job. Involuntary is the accurate answer. Which organ helps fishes to swim? Correct response. Fins is the most accurate answer. Which part of body has cartilage? Right choice. Earlobe is the best answer. Snails move with the help of dash. Valid point. Muscular foot is true. What two bones make up the skull?
Well picked. Cranium and mandible is the correct answer.
What does your bone marrow make? Good job. Your answer blood cells works well here. The backbone of fish is flexible. Well done. Flexible is the right choice. Number of bones in human body is? Smart move. 26 is an accurate answer. When a muscle contracts, it dash. Strong choice. Gets shorter is the right answer.
Which joint is present in wrist?
Nice work. You chose gliding joint, and it is correct. In elbow, which joint is present? Clear logic. Your choice hinge is sound and 100% true. Which is an involuntary movement. Well reasoned. Blinking of eyes is the correct choice. Is your upper jaw a fixed joint?
You chose yes, and it is correct.
Patella bone is located on dash. Good thinking. Knee is the right answer. Muscles connect to the bones by. Great thinking. Tendon is the right choice. Scientific name of backbone is? On track. Vertebrae column is the correct answer. 5 a snake dash, a kangaroo dash.
Correct. Slithers. Hops is the right answer.
Joints of the bones help in the. Bravo. Movement is the answer. The bones of the birds are dash.
Smart pick. Hollow and light is the correct choice.
What mineral makes bones strong?
Exactly. Calcium makes sense and it is right choice. Rib cage have a dash pair of ribs. Nicely done. 12 is a solid answer. The snake body is covered with.
Perfect. Scale is the correct choice.
Is there bones for earthworm?
Nice selection. No is the correct and valid answer. Birds have light and dash bone. Solid response. Hollow is a valid choice. Are hinged joints able to move? You're right. Yes is the correct answer. A snail moves by its muscular. Sharp thinking. Foot is the right choice. Finger bones are also known as. Excellent. Phalanges is a brilliant choice. Name the bone on which we sit. You got it? Your choice pelvic bone is right. Earthworms do not have bones. Excellent choice. True is the right answer. Where is fixed joint present? Right again. Skull is a valid answer. How does our bones decreases? Correct. By age is the right answer. Ribcage protects only heart. Smart move. False is an accurate answer. Cockroaches have endoskeleton. On track. F is the correct answer. Part which protect the brain. You're right. Skull is the correct answer. Our backbone is made up of. Smart pick. Vertebrae is the correct choice. Muscles always works in dash. Well reasoned. None is the correct choice. Where are cartilage present? Well done. Both is the right choice. Dash is present in earlobes. Great thinking. Cartilage is the right choice. Streamlined body is found in. You chose birds and fish, and it is correct. Which animal is streamlined? You got it. Your choice fish is right. What are earthworms called? Valid point. Friends of farmers is true. Human skeleton is formed by. Correct response. Bones and cartilages is the most accurate answer. Is a snake has a backbone? Nicely done. Yes is a solid answer. Where are blood cells made? Clear logic. Your choice, bone marrow, is sound and 100% true. A place where two bones meet. Sharp thinking. Joints is the right choice. The forearm has two bones.
Well picked. True is the correct answer.
Other name of cranium is. Nice selection. Brain box is the correct and valid answer. The chest bones are called. Great job, ribs is the accurate answer. The bottom part of the ear. Excellent. Earlobe is a brilliant choice. Tell the joint in our neck. Strong choice. Pivotal joint is the right answer. Snakes have long backbone. Solid response. True is a valid choice. Tendons join dash to bones. Right choice. Muscles is the best answer.
Dash is an immovable joint.
Perfect. Upper jaw is the correct choice. Butterfly-shaped structure. Nice work. You chose pelvic bone, and it is correct.
Dash have streamlined body.
Bravo. Fish is the answer. We can move our upper jaw. Good thinking. False is the right answer. Backbone is also known as. Excellent choice. Vertebral column is the right answer. Shoulder bones are called. Right again. Scapula is a valid answer. Fixed joints are found in. Exactly. Skull makes sense, and it is right choice.
The earthworm has no dash.
Good job. Your answer bone works well here. Human skeleton comprises. Well done. All of these is the right choice.
Do snakes have backbone?
Nice work. You chose yes, and it is correct. Hinge joint I present in. Correct. Elbow is the right answer. Where we find bristles. Great job. Earthworms is the accurate answer. How do joints helps us?
Excellent choice. All of the above is the right answer.
Pivotal joints join the. Clear logic. Your choice head with neck is sound and 100% true.
Snake has dash backbone.
You got it? Your choice big is right. Skull is also called as. Right choice. Brain box is the best answer.
Select the correct set. Correct response. Shoulder, femur is the most accurate answer. Muscles work in pairs. Good job. Your answer true works well here.
What does tortoise has? Valid point. Both is true. The skull protect dash. Great thinking. Brain is the right choice. Who discovered X-rays?
Well reasoned. Wilhelm Conrad Roentgen is the correct choice. What do ribs protect?
Good thinking. Heart is the right answer. What do snails have? Strong choice. Antennas is the right answer. Earthworm has bones. Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer. Backbone has 32 bows.
On track, false is the correct answer. Who has more bones? Right again.
Children is a valid answer.
Cockroaches can fly. Bravo. Yes is the answer. What is a vertebrae?
Nicely done. Spine is a solid answer.
What are carpals?
Exactly. Several small bones make sense, and it is right choice.
Ribs protect dash. Perfect. Heart is the correct choice.
Snake have a long. Smart pick. Backbone is the correct choice. Knee joints are.
Smart move. Hinge joints is an accurate answer. Bones can be. Well picked. Cannot be bent is the correct answer. Hip joint is.
Solid response. Ball and socket joint is a valid choice.
Hinge joint. Excellent. Elbow and knee joint is a brilliant choice. A baby has?
You're right. 300 bones is the correct answer.
Fish have. Sharp thinking. Stream-like body is the right choice. Snail has? You chose shell, and it is correct. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Strong choice. Contact Narayan Chengda on Facebook is the right answer.